안녕하세요. It is my pleasure to share with you Cheonggyecheon restoration project. Cheonggyecheon is an intermittent stream flowing across the downtown of Seoul from east to west. In 1412, at the beginning of the Joseon dynasty, King Taejong ordered for a brook developed into a stream named Cheonggyecheon. In the early 20th century, there were less than 1 million people in Seoul, and this stream was a water source, a place to wash clothes, and open sewer, much like streams in the developing urban centers. After the Korean War in 1953, the stream was mostly home to squatter houses and squatter factories, treated as a sewage stream where unpurified industrial and domestic sewage entered. Waste was discarded and the water was polluted and smelly with colors changing. Starting in 1958, Cheonggyecheon was covered gradually due to the lack of funds and skills to manage the contaminated stream. On the asphalt shell, Seoul City built 5.48 kilometer long elevated highway during 1967 to 1976, which was reckoned as a symbol to show Korean economic growth, called Miracle on the Han River. Being closer to the new millennium, no longer did the elevated highway function as an auto mobility supplier from suburbs to the downtown. Rather, a safety issue arose. More than 20% of the highway steel beams were corroded, and in order to fix it, an estimated $100 million would be needed. In a survey conducted by the Seoul Institute, Seoul citizens expressed their wish for livable, human-scaled, and environmentally friendly urban structures, which was not prioritized during a rapid economic growth. Former mayor of Seoul, Lee Myung-bak, pledged to implement the Cheonggyecheon project when he was mayoral candidate. Being elected in 2002, Seoul Metropolitan Government officially adopted it as the landmark policy of his administration. After many studies conducted by the government and Seoul Institute, including a feasibility study from July 2002, February 2003, a public hearing and environmental review process was carried out in 2003. The Cheonggyecheon restoration project began on July 1st, 2003 and was completed on September 30th, 2005. We were able to shorten the construction period by almost half than what was predicted, with the construction being launched simultaneously in 3 relatively evenly divided sections. A shift in functional, social, and environmental paradigms led to the Seoul citizens' request of dismantling the elevated highway and restoring the Asian stream. Seoul policymakers shifted the urban paradigm from development to conservation, from auto mobility to pedestrian friendly, and from efficiency to equality. The entire restoration work were progressed according to these principles. The restoration project stretched out almost 6 kilometers across downtown Seoul. Some ecologists argue that the restoration should start from the upper reaches of Cheonggyecheon. However, due to traffic problems and costs, the extension to the original water source was delayed until second phase of the restoration project. Instead, water pipes were installed between Cheonggyecheon and its origins to provide clean water into the stream. A demolition work started on July 1st, 2003, and Cheonggyecheon elevated highway was completely dismantled on October 5th, 2003. Demolition of asphalt structure covering the stream began on August 18th, 2003, completely dismantled by December 30th, 2004. In order to reduce noises and dust during the work, the city used diamond wire saws and wheel saws. A total of 680,000 tons of waste was regenerated during the demolition work. Of these, 100% of scrap iron and steel was recycled, and 95% of the waste concrete and asphalt was recycled. Cheonggyecheon was designed to be restored as urban natural stream and as a human and environmentally friendly space with waterfronts and sidewalks along the banks. Flood management was placed top priority in designing the stream. To respond to increasing occurrence of flooding and heavy volume of torrential showers during the summer, the city built embankments that can withstand 200-year level of extreme flood. Also, the minimum number of bridges were planned in order to transmit maximum amount of water in a short span of time, and some road structures were kept intact to further the amount of water flow during the heavy rain season. Terraces and lower level sidewalks were built along the upper and lower reaches of the stream to create water-friendly environment. Cheonggyecheon is an intermittent stream which requires additional water provision to maintain the design guidance of maximum 40 centimeters of water over the years. The water volume needed was estimated as more than 120,000 tons per day, supplied from three sources: the Han River, underground water, and water treated at the Jungyang sewage treatment plant. Water from the Han River will be used until the expansion of the Jungyang sewage treatment system is completed. The waters are flown into the stream from 4 dischargers. Target level of water quality is second class BOD 3 milligrams per liter. The sewage system is designed to transmit a total of 1.95 billion tons a day, 3 times the maximum sewage generated from the Cheonggyecheon area. Both sides of the stream are as wide as 13.5 meters to accommodate 2-lane street per direction, sidewalks, loading, unloading spaces for businesses. The restored stream is accessible from 17 locations. According to the traffic plan, the left turn was limited to its minimum, and U-turn is allowed only at 3 locations to protect the stream environment from car emissions. 5 pedestrian bridges and 17 bridges for motorists were built along the stream. The restoration of Hwang Bridge from the underground, one of the main relics of the Joseon dynasty, caused problems because its original form was severely damaged, and the location is at the center of an important traffic intersection. It was challenging to restore at its original location because of traffic concerns. Therefore, conservational experts on cultural relics consulted the city to restore it to the upstream. Relocating another old stone bridge called Super Bridge to where it was originally placed required a redesign of the stream due to the discrepancy between length of the bridge and the width of the stream. For the Ogansu Bridge, it had a slim chance of being restored to its original form, although its existence was confirmed. Restoration of all the bridges was determined based on a detailed index survey on relic restoration. In order to reduce public inconveniences during the construction, various measures were proposed to set up streams to not interrupt commercial activities and to maintain loading, unloading parking spaces along Cheonggyecheon Street. One dramatic measure to respond to street parking storage shortages during the construction and to erupting street vendors. Complaints conducting their businesses along the sidewalk was shut down. The Dongdaemun soccer stadium located near Cheonggyecheon and to rearrange it into a temporary parking lot and business ground for street vendors. For the last several decades, Seoul City exerted its effort to develop Gangnam area. As a result, Gangnam area emerged as prospering new downtown while the old central business district located in Gangbuk area became dull. Some argue that environmentally unfriendly structures like Cheonggye Elevated Highway served as obstacles to the development of downtown in Gangbuk. Now that the obstacles have been removed through the restoration of Cheonggyecheon restoration, the Gangbuk area should revive into an eco-friendly downtown. Along with the restoration, the old downtown was expected to be reborn as a historical and cultural center, a business and commercial center, and the center of tourism and shopping. Revitalization plan had two goals. One is the preservation of history and environment, and the other is pursuit of sustainable development. Sustainable development means harmonizing the area's history and waterside eco-friendly environment with redevelopment. In efforts to restore the history of the downtown area, the following restoration works were implemented to restore Seoul Castle walls, to beautify historic streets, to create longitudinal and circular green axis inside 4 historical gates, and to preserve modern cultural legacy. To restore culture, it is required to implement strategies to utilize cultural assets abundant in the urban center as tourism resources. One of them is designing several cultural belts along with introduction of the cultural belts. The special routes have been drawn up for walking, sightseeing, and shopping. 4 courses are available for tourists to walk. A new plan that aims to digitize the stream is on the way as well. It will add more contents to Cheonggyecheon to create a more attractive stream filled with cultural fun and activities. By next year, visitors will be able to hear about the history of Cheonggye Stream and the local area by using personal digital assistant, and information on shopping and performances will be also played through the system. Also, wireless internet will be available, and a digital media wall with a stock market ticket will be installed to market Korea's status as one of the most economically developed country in the world. It is essential to upgrade our transportation system in order to revitalize urban functions. A vehicle-oriented transportation environment should be changed into human-oriented, eco-friendly one to enhance the competitiveness of the downtown area. For that purpose, the city introduced new form of mass transit system, improved pedestrian environment. Moreover, transportation demand management was strongly enforced to lower traffic congestion and air pollution from excessive traffic. Active investment in public transportation was required to improve accessibility to urban center. First of all, in a short period of time, the bus service was dramatically reformed into a system of trunk and feeder. Also, the city introduced medium bus lane system in the downtown area to better manage bus flows accessing city center. So far, a road transportation system had been operated mainly with a focus on freer vehicular traffic. That is why walking continuity was lost, and as a result, more and more people depended on cars in the urban center. The most important thing to improve pedestrian environment was to expand pedestrian crossings and to promote sidewalk environment. The main road called Hwang in Seoul was reborn as a pedestrian-friendly street as the city reduced traffic lanes and introduced pedestrian mall instead. Along with that, there are also some other things to be fixed for better pedestrian environment. For instance, signal system considering walk flow, additional installation of crossings, expansion of crossing width, and crossroad structures improved for more crossings. Historically, major public projects in Korea had mostly undergone difficulties because of conflicting interests among stakeholders. The Cheonggyecheon project was no exception, with Mayor Lee Myung-bak leveraging it for the following presidential election, with a merchant group worrying about losing their decades-old business platform in downtown, and civic groups sticking firmly to their causes such as sustainability and historic preservation in the midst of conflicting interests. Tripartite governance system was formed to resolve the problem, composed of Seoul City's Cheonggyecheon Restoration Bureau, Citizens Committee encompassing scholars, experts, and NGO representatives regardless of their political preference, and the Seoul Institute in charge of developing the restoration master plan. Also, the city introduced a special task force team solely indulging in conflict management, dealing with stakeholders who were mostly merchants conducting old-fashioned businesses along in the vicinity of the stream. The team established guidelines for settling a dispute, and the mayor relegated his authority to their decisions. The team had met with the merchant group over 3,000 times, while merchants took to the streets to express their anger and to demand scrapping the restoration plan. Notwithstanding harsh confrontation between the city and the merchant group, efforts to building trust with each other had been made continuously and eventually reached a final settlement that the city would set aside a new business site for their resettlement, while merchants supported the project without being given any financial compensation for losses and delaying the construction. The conflict with Cheonggyecheon merchant was well settled. About 7,000 merchants decided to move to a new business park prepared by Seoul City, and at least 25% of businesses located around the Cheonggyecheon area expressed their plan of either changing their business types or moving to other business sites. There, Cheonggyecheon might have stayed if not for serendipity and politics. Throughout the 1990s, a small group that included academics, engineers, sought to uncover the waterway. They figured out how to manage the stream, hydrology, and mitigate the traffic snarl that might ensue when the highway and the road below, which carried more than 170,000 vehicles a day, were removed. Many supporters did not believe money wasn't the problem. Rather, the issue was the will. The missing component was a leader with clout. That person arrived in the form of Lee Myung-bak, a former construction executive whose company had been the principal contractor in building the flyover. He made the stream, the restoration, a key issue in his successful campaign for mayor of Seoul in 2002. 5 years later, he was elected president of South Korea. Hwang, a former researcher of Seoul Institute who helped develop the master plan, believes this was a risky idea essentially. Lee Myung-bak felt that since he built it, it was time for him to demolish this was accepted from the National Geographic. To restore the stream in downtown Seoul, the urban expressway built of the stream was demolished, and the number of lanes was reduced from 6 to 8 lanes in one direction to 2 lanes in each direction. Because Cheonggyecheon Street was an important corridor and a major arterial connector of central Seoul to eastern part of the city, many people thought that changes made to this would lead to traffic chaos in the downtown area. Seoul Institute monitored traffic volume, traffic speed, and mode shift changes in the downtown area and conducted travel behavior surveys to analyze the impact of capacity reduction. The impact study included both a short-term monitoring right after the restoration work and then continued monitoring over a period of 2 years to determine the longer-term impact on Seoul traffic. The short-term impact study revealed that travelers changed their departure times and their travel mode voluntarily to adjust to their new travel environment. Therefore, traffic volume in the downtown area decreased while the surrounding travel speed did not drop to a significant level. No concerning traffic crisis broke out opposed to the worries from some transportation specialists. There was no significant level of service drop even in the downtown area where the construction had been taking place. Only 1.3% of downtown residents complained about worsened traffic. Subway users increased 3.6% overall in Seoul, while traffic volume plunged to a significant level. Subway passenger volume increased for 2 weeks in a row after the restoration work started, but the number of bus passengers did not change significantly. This implies that travelers adjusted as wisely as they could to major crises inflicted on their mobility. The longer-term analysis indicated that travel speed recovered continuously to pre-construction levels. Furthermore, road traffic volume decreased gradually after the restoration work began, with transit ridership showing a prolonged increase. Lastly, we found that there was a significant shift in transport mode preference from using vehicles to using subway. Air quality and temperature in the downtown area showed a noticeable sign of improvement. Cool air mass formed along the stream, which led to 50% of the average wind speed increase compared to the previous year. The fastest one recorded 3 meters per second in the summer of 2005. In addition, beyond previous temperature estimation of 0.3 to 0.8 Celsius, a drop with the restored stream. A later study revealed that temperature near the stream recorded a 3 Celsius degrees drop during the summer of 2005. Because of reduced traffic, the estimate of economic value of air pollution reduction was calculated to be up to 40 billion Korean won per year in Seoul. A citizen survey showed that each household was willing to pay 130,000 Korean won per year in a form of compulsory tax for this environmental improvement. This amounts as to 356.2 billion Korean won per year in the entire Seoul and approximates the total restoration cost of 390 billion Korean won. Throughout this restoration project, the business environment of the Cheonggyecheon area became competitive to a greater extent, and its industrial structure was on the verge of renewing, contributing to the booming of the downtown economy. According to a monitoring study on the real estate price changes after the announcement of the restoration, land value near Cheonggyecheon area soared 30% on average and soared to up to 100%, especially in the redevelopment site as well as in the inner city new town site. The rent of commercial buildings increased beyond 5% on average, while the luxury Gangnam area's rent did not change at all. The direct economic impact of capital investment was expected to be up to 22 trillion Korean won, maximum when the full-fledged redevelopment went into action. Such an acclaimed completion of Cheonggyecheon restoration was followed by a series of major, least memorable achievements in the short run, such as Seoul Plaza, transforming intersections in the front of the city hall and shrinking road space for pedestrians, and among the best, Seoul's bus system reform. Once the success of this project was apparent, every part of the Seoul wanted one. Other overpasses were removed under the Sky Opening Initiative. Other significant public area around the city have seen removal of traffic lanes to mark room for green space, effectively expanding pedestrian spaces. There was a renaissance across the central business district with more people touring into the center, greenways popping up in exchange for high-density buildings across the city, and all of a sudden people in Seoul found they can walk places without being hindered by the vehicle traffic. The new mayor talked about plans to refurbish the industrial riverfront instead of a car. Seoul's city paradigm has changed since the project from a car-oriented one to a human and environment-oriented one, upending government investment criteria in favor of rails rather than roads. Removing Cheonggyecheon Expressway and covering road lasted until December 2004. Not only did project aims to provide an open space and fresh water course instead of a obstructing highway in the downtown area, but also to reclaim the historical and cultural identity of Seoul as a 600-year-old city. The stream's heritage were restored during February 2002 to March 2010. Since its opening on October 1st, 2005, Cheonggyecheon Stream invited 100 million visitors in 50 days. Cheonggyecheon became the most attractive tourist attraction in Seoul as well as in the CBD. It also helped trigger the CBD regeneration project called New Town in Town because of massive inflow of visitors. The CBD area resurrected as the center of Seoul again. Business have been booming and real estate prices have been skyrocketing with redevelopment and project now going on in many sites in downtown Seoul. Eventually, this restoration project will provide the opportunity for Seoul to transform into a hub city in Northeast Asia and an international finance center, the most importantly help achieve a balanced growth between northern and southern part of the Seoul city. Thank you very much to your listening.